Welcome to episode 7 of the Jungle Podcast. I'm your host, John. You guys know Jeff as well. We're shooting a Friday show with the NFL release last night at 8 Eastern time. We wanted to obviously cover a lot of that content, so I thought it might be better to wait. But glad we're back. Welcome to the show again, Jeff.
Yeah, man. Good to see you. Excited to talk the schedule. Some interesting things, obviously, with that, especially with the new playoff formats to come into play. But that'll be good to talk about.
Yeah, man. I think we'll get a lot out of that, and that's going to be a lot of the show. I think is going to be, obviously around the NFL schedule. We also have some different predictions for a half of the league, and we'll do our other set of predictions during the Monday show.
Yeah.
But not time for that yet. I guess, Jeff, you want to kick us off with some news and notes from the week?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a couple. One I thought was pretty interesting. So in Utah, there was a 5-year-old who I guess said that he wanted to get a Lamborghini and his mom wouldn't let him. So he stole his dad's car and got pulled over driving to California. And when the cop pulled him over, he said, "I'm on my way to buy a Lamborghini."
They said the cop saw him driving erratically and pulled him over thinking he was like a drunk driver. The cop, I think, said they thought he it was like someone was being pregnant or they were rushing to the hospital.
Right.
I thought it's hilarious.
I think it's amazing. Big ups to that 5-year-old. If we had a kudos to give out this week, I think it would go to him. Even though we did that on Monday, but that is awesome.
It's amazing that he could even move the car or figure out how to get it out of park.
I don't think I don't even remember what I was doing when I was 5, but I don't think that I could have gotten behind the wheel and made it out of the driveway.
I think I just had my training wheels taken off my bike.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We were getting ready for that, and this kid's rolling down the highway, going to a different state. He was in Utah, and he had plans to go to a different state. I think it's pretty awesome.
I think that's also a parenting moment. Maybe you should keep a closer eye on that guy.
That's true.
The fact that they didn't even get a call from the parents and that that's how it was figured out. The fact that he got pulled on the highway kind of scary.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's ridiculous.
That's a good point. Yeah. What about you?
That's a good one. So I had two. The first one was the Earl Thomas news. Earl Thomas, famous safety. I think he's a 6-time Pro Bowler. Now he's on the Ravens. He was in the Legion of Boom back in the Seahawks defenses. He played at University of Texas, and I guess he spends his time in Austin now. Did you see the story involving him and his wife this weekend?
His wife, right? She held a gun to his head, right?
He left. She checked his Snapchat, found his location, shows up. He's with his brother at an Airbnb, and they were in bed with a group of women. And she flipped out, obviously, and apparently put a gun to his head and was threatening him. So that was some pretty big news close to home here.
Yeah.
The other big one I had was the Korean Baseball League, KBO, started off this week, and I caught one game between LG and Doosan. All the different teams in the KBO, they're named after companies. So there's
I saw that. I saw the Samsung Flames or something. I don't remember what they were, but I was like, wait a minute, so they're named after the company?
Yeah. And it reminds you of how many huge electronic South Korean firms there are.
Yeah.
The best of the New York Yankees. So let me give you a quick breakdown of how the KBO works. And
okay.
I was doing some texting. I think we were going to do some kind of random team assignment, if you're interested, Jeff, in being a part of it, to put a little wager on the league this year.
Yeah.
But so it's 10 teams. They founded the league in 1982. Started with 6 teams. They're up to 10 now. The Kia Tigers, named after the Kia Motors, that's your New York Yankees. And there's been some legit names Julio Franco was a big name that played in the KBO. Eric Thames, who had some good years with Milwaukee, came out of there.
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting. Nice to see some live baseball. They didn't have fans,
cool.
They had cheerleaders. So it was cool to see.
That is cool. You know what? Just bouncing off of that, it's good to see Kia getting some love because they do not get love over here in Cincinnati, or I should say in the United States. They don't get love. Like, even if you see a Kia car, it's like, oh, that's a good-looking car. But then for some reason, if you see the Kia name on it, it's like, ah.
I know. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The NBA is like their thing,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
I agree. And I feel like they can you can always change it with enough time. But I'm feeling the same way. Sometimes you see them and you're like, man, that looks like a nice car. Then you see the emblem and it's a Kia and you're like, nah.
Yeah. I mean, they put out that brand new SUV. It's a really, really cool looking car. But I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. Yeah, well, that's good. So it's good to see baseball back. I think that's, hopefully that will come to the States here soon. I know you heard some rumblings of teams. No, I think we talked about it, of camp starting up next month. So
yeah.
So let's hope. But
still in the works. Apparently, it's going to be in home stadiums. I think like cities like Cincinnati are thinking, well, shoot, like if we're going to have games, like wouldn't we want it to happen here?
Yeah.
Because the way they're talking about it looks like there might be fans involved, but I think it's just too early. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see. Well, that's good. So that's something to watch on TV sports-wise. And then another thing, I'm a huge fan of mixed martial arts. The UFC is finally coming back.
Oh, yeah.
UFC 249. It's not the headliner that we all wanted with Khabib versus Ferguson. Everyone wanted that, but I believe Khabib is in Russia, and he wasn't able to get out of it. I mean, he went home during this whole thing. I don't think you can blame him. Everyone's
back in Dagestan.
Yeah, he's back in Dagestan. Everyone kind of got mad at him for doing that, but it was also like, well, they're telling everyone to go home. Right. And he didn't know what was going to be going on. So he's gone. So now Ferguson's fighting Justin Gaethje for the interim title, which is a really good fight at 155. It's a really, really stacked card. Below that, you got the bantamweight title with Dominic Cruz challenging Henry Cejudo. Mm-hmm. So that's Henry Cejudo is the only guy. He won a gold medal in the Olympics, and now he has 2 titles with the UFC.
Wow. Yeah, I saw Cruz does a lot. He does some like TV work as well.
He does a lot of commentary now. He hasn't fought since 2016.
Okay, so it's been a little
It's
hiatus.
been a while.
4 years.
But at one point in time, he was like the bantamweight in the world. So it's going to be interesting to see him come back. And then you got the big guy, Francis Ngannou, fighting Rosenstruik, who's another.
Ngannou.
Yeah, Ngannou's the man. It's going to be great to see him. I know you're.
I realized he was there.
Oh yeah, you're a huge Stipe fan, right?
Big time. So I like Ngannou too, though.
Oh, I know, but I just remember like when he fought Stipe, Stipe just handled him so well. Remember that?
Yep.
And so that's exciting. Those are the top three fights on the card. It should be really good. There's gonna be no fans there, but they've been testing the athletes all week. So I'm hoping to buy the pay-per-view on Saturday and give that a watch for sure.
Yeah, the Cruz guy, I saw an interview with him. He said literally the only people in the arena are the fighters, apparently.
Yeah.
There's 2, and then obviously you need a ref. But he said as far as like people who are interacting, it's completely empty. And I guess they've like tested each of them twice a day for, weeks and weeks and weeks. Another kind of interesting thing that I heard was just seeing the difference between Dana White is like, I don't care what the people think. We want fights. Like, I don't care what you think about us taking the tests. Like, we're getting guys in the cage, and they're going to beat each other's faces in. Meanwhile, the NBA and Adam Silver's like, well, I don't know if we're going to come back because the public opinion might not be favorable of if we are taking all the tests from the public.
Dana doesn't care.
Dana White's attitude. He's just like, come on, man.
Dana's building Fight Island. He's getting ready to get all these guys to go to an island and square off. He doesn't care. He wants entertainment and he wants sports. He wants the fight world back. So I'm excited for it.
I am a big Stipe Miocic fan, so much that after that Francis fight, I bought a Stipe shirt off the website. Right. It came and it was like 2 sizes too small, so I actually gave it to our special guest from last Thursday, Graham. I don't know if he's ever worn it or not. But yeah, like a lot of this, we can have a UFC episode another time, but I don't like Dana a lot of times because of how he treats Stipe. Yeah. But I love what he's been doing, just like handling, the reins through this crisis.
It's a shame because Stipe is arguably the greatest heavyweight of all time, and I mean, he's an Ohio guy. He's still a firefighter. I mean, he's the man, and look forward to seeing when he comes back. I'm not sure when that's going to happen. I know he's going to be fighting Daniel Cormier for a 3rd time. They're 1-1 versus each other, but he said he wants a full camp to prepare, which you can't blame him. And right now, he doesn't have access to a cage or anything, so that's on him.
He got poked in the eye. It's the only reason he lost to Cormier the first time, or not Cormier.
He lost. He lost
Cormier. Sorry, I was switching my names up. He got the thumb in the eye.
But Cormier is an animal, man. I mean, but he got him the second time, and that was a great fight. But I'm looking forward to that this weekend, UFC 249.
Yeah, we'll do a little recap maybe on that on Monday and mix that in. I know, you're a lot bigger UFC fan than I am, but it's something I dabble in. So definitely love to get some of that content going too.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
That pretty much wraps up news and notes.
Yeah.
Switching up to our Thursday segment, Sexy, Not Sexy. I'll let you start this one off too, Jeff.
So for my sexy, something that's been going on around, I'm not sure if they have it down by you, but there's been a lot of flyovers with like fighter jets.
And not that I've noticed here. Yeah.
Okay, so we had one in Ohio and Kentucky for the frontline workers, just kind of honoring them. It's just cool to see. I mean, if you've ever been at a sporting event where it's an open stadium and they do the flyover after they sing, the national anthem, get ready for the game, it's always really cool to see. So they're doing that, and I think that's cool. And I did have another one just real quick. I don't know if you saw. I think it's pretty cool. Peyton Manning, Tiger Woods are going to face Brady and Mickelson in a tournament.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because I remember I saw that and I put that in my memory bank and I was like, bring this up on Thursday. And I completely forgot until you just said it. So great job on that. I did see it. And you probably saw the little exchange. So they have Tiger and Manning and Brady and Phil. They're all on the street with, I think it was Rich Eisen. They were like basically talking about it, promoting it because it's for charity, et cetera. And Manning was kind of digging into Tom. Did you see this exchange at all?
Yeah, it's awesome.
And,
it's awesome. I put it in my sexy just because that's what we need right now.
100%. They're so good on camera. They're so good together. You can tell they don't really hate each other, which is kind of surprising. I
get that. I mean, I guarantee you when they were playing, there was probably some animosity, just even if they didn't show it. But, Manning's retired. They're both two of the all-time greats, obviously. And, it'll be fun. And the same with Woods and Mickelson. But they still compete. I mean, they did that. Yeah. They did that one tournament earlier. What was that, last year? When it was just one-on-one that Phil beat Tiger?
Yeah, I think if Tiger hadn't had that whole, his career fall apart for 10 years, Phil probably wouldn't be so, cool with him.
Yeah.
Because Tiger owned him until, everything fell apart and Phil kind of came into his own.
True. True.
I kind of think it's the same way, too, with Tiger or with Brady and Manning. It's probably a good thing that Manning is the one who ended up losing, because I bet Tom wouldn't be so, receptive if he was the one with the losing record to Manning. If he was on the other side of the table, I don't think his smile would be quite as wide at those jokes.
I think that's a good point. Yeah, I've never really thought about that. He's kind of more of the cold-blooded. He might not that Peyton obviously is an all-time competitor, but Peyton's sponsors are Papa John's and Buick, and Tom Brady's are
his own brand, TB12.
his own brand, and Aston Martins and everything like that. Peyton just kind of seems like a happier, fun, more fun type guy, right?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I think winning helps Tom be a nice guy.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Well, cool. What about you? What's your sexy of the week?
So this is switching gears a little bit. So I was watching some documentaries. If you guys know me personally, I'm a history lover, and one of my YouTube channels I like to follow is called History Time. Something I actually didn't mention. If you're a fan of our podcast, you can check us out on YouTube at the Jungle Pod. Or the Jungle Podcast. You can also find us on Twitter at the Jungle Pod. Forgot to get that in the front end.
Nice plug there.
I was watching History Time on YouTube, one of my favorite channels, and the episode was the history of people in New Zealand. So the Polynesians, basically traveled from Southeast Asia thousands of years ago, inhabited all of the Southeast Asian islands. The last major land mass that wasn't inhabited until about the estimates are the 12 to 1300s, was New Zealand. And the Polynesians that came to New Zealand and inhabited it were called the Maori people. The sexy piece of this was shocking to me. So you can go watch the episode and you can fact check this all you want, but it blew my mind. So there were no large mammals in New Zealand prior to basically 1300 when the Maori brought dogs and stuff with them in their boats. There were two birds. The one was called the moa. This thing was 12 feet tall, 500 pounds, 12 feet tall, 500-pound bird. Think
It's like a massive,
but bigger. That was like the big land, not mammal because it's a bird, but like the big land kind of predator. And then even cooler than that, and this is 800 years ago. This isn't like thousands of years ago.
right.
There was a huge eagle called the Hast eagle. It was like twice the size of our bald eagle, big enough to eat a 500-pound bird. And in the Maori like legends, these birds would prey on people. Eagles preying on people. I thought that was the coolest thing.
That is cool.
Like,
That is cool. But, I mean,
I double checked this stuff like in so many different ways before I was like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and push this. Long story short, so these birds, the moa and the hast, they basically the Maori hunted them out like of existence.
Okay.
And they both went extinct around 1400. But the sexy was that the fact that the moa and the hast existed and that the hast eagle preyed on human beings. The not sexy was the fact that they are no longer around.
So you did your not sexy in that also.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I like that. I like that. So my not sexy. That I'm gonna have to check out that episode for sure.
Awesome.
So my not sexy is actually bringing it back to the UFC because I wanted to mention this. I didn't want to mention it earlier, but when you look at the main card this weekend on such a stacked card, the first fight of the main card is Greg Hardy versus Yorgan De Castro. Okay, you remember Greg Hardy, football player, right? Yeah. Below him on the prelims is Anthony Pettis versus Donald Cerrone, Alexei Olenek versus Fabricio Verdum, Carla Esparza versus Michelle Watterson, and Uriah Hall versus Jacare Souza. You have legit out of those 8 people I just mentioned, 6 or 7 possible Hall of Famers, a couple former title holders. Former champions are now in the prelims below Greg Hardy, who's fighting first on the main card. I think that's absurd, and it pisses me off because the last 3 times we've watched Greg Hardy fight, it's been completely anticlimactic. They put him in there against some guy, almost looks like, who is he fighting right here? Yeah. I mean, Greg Hardy's a former professional athlete. He's going to be able to do something here, right? And it's just it blows my mind that these guys aren't pissed off about this. And Greg Hardy is the first fight on the main card, and these other guys on the prelims. That's
the bad side of Dana White. You know why he does it? It's because people know who Greg Hardy is, and he gets eyeballs, and they're going to tune in because they want to see Greg Hardy right off the bat, and then they have a higher chance of staying for the other guys that are world-class fighters.
I completely agree.
But they don't have the name value.
I completely agree. I just don't like it as a fight fan. I think it's absurd and extremely disrespectful for those guys that are on the prelims.
I wholeheartedly agree. I didn't realize that many big names were fighting on Saturday.
Huge. It's the biggest card in a long time. Long time. Wow. So,
we'll have to tune in and we'll do some fight recaps. I think for sure. Then. I didn't realize it was quite that large.
That sounds good. Cool.
Awesome.
Cool.
So I guess transitioning to the biggest news of the week, and the reason that we're doing this on a Friday. Last night the NFL schedules came out. Bengals had one of the easiest in the league, which was great to see. A couple interesting things that I want to point out. First of them, New England had the hardest.
Right.
You're crazy. If you don't think that's on purpose, the league is punishing New England because they've had a long problem with New England, obviously, the dominating, all these different things. Yep. They hate New England. Yeah. And now that Tom's gone, it's not a coincidence that they gave him the hardest schedule because they want to stick it to him.
I still think they're going to be better than people think.
I think so too. We'll talk about our predictions for the AFC.
And we'll talk about it. It's Bill Belichick until the season starts and I start to see them slip and go on a losing streak or whatever. There's no way that I can still count them out. They're still pretty high on Jarrett Stidham. They didn't draft a quarterback for a reason. They haven't picked up Cam Newton for a reason. They didn't take Andy Dalton for a reason. Bill Belichick and that staff are very, very smart. They're the best at finding talent in kind of odd places, right? So, I think they'll be better. But that's interesting that they do have, the hardest. I think you're right.
That's the first thing I thought. I was like, that's not a coincidence. On the flip side, Tampa Bay has 5 primetime games.
But yeah, the most allowed and the most if their franchise has ever had. They have 3 in a row.
Yeah. They have 5. And then if you look at their schedule, there's other ones that are basically like TBD.
So
Like,
you never know.
We'll probably bump that one up. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like the fact the Bengals, if you look at the Bengals, it's like 1 o'clock. Like they have the time slot in.
The Bengals I think they have one Monday night game.
Guys.
I agree. I mean, dude, they can't wait for the Bucks. Also, the NFL want them to do well because there's something. It's like an initiative to where no team has ever played the Super Bowl in their own town.
Is it in Tampa?
And it's in Tampa this year.
Oh man,
Gronk's back. They had a fantastic draft. I mean, and we'll talk about that obviously, and we'll do NFC, next on Monday. But they're set up for some pretty big success. What I also thought was interesting. This doesn't get a lot of chatter about it, but the Ravens travel the least amount out of anyone.
Yeah, they have the easiest schedule.
Yeah, so the Ravens, they're not traveling. I mean, their team is already so stacked. They got better. I think they're going to be really, really good. And then
the NFL does that I think irritates.
Yeah, but
it's obvious they're pushing Lamar Jackson. They're pushing the young, exciting. It's just so scripted sometimes. It's like make it a little less obvious, just so it's not so in your face.
Well, look where the Bucs are week 1. They're in New Orleans playing Drew Brees.
Yeah.
First time ever 2 40-year-old quarterbacks are opening weekend.
You know what else it is? I looked into this game too. That's the opener, right?
Yeah.
Brady has been a regular season favorite for 74 regular season games in a row until now. 74 in a row. It's absurd. They're not this game. They're actually the Saints are the favorite, I think, by 3 or 4 points.
So yeah, I think the Saints should be the favorite of that game. The Saints week 2, which I also put down as interesting, they're at their brand new Las Vegas Raiders Stadium. It's the first game in Raiders Stadium, week 2, Saints at Raiders. So I'm excited to see that thing.
I hope people can be there.
I hope people can be there too, but it's going to be
anticlimactic things check out the new franchise.
That's true. But I mean, have you seen a picture of the stadium? It looks incredible.
It's freaking what's the runner's name? Horrible haircut. Davis.
Yeah, it's Davis.
It's like him eating a corn dog by himself in the box,
Hey man, live it up. You own the team. Do whatever you want. They'll figure out some way to make that interesting. Going back to Baltimore, they open up with the Browns, which is going to be really interesting. Those are 2 teams that both got really good in the draft, better in the draft. And so hopefully, I'm not a Ravens fan. I'm not a Browns fan. I hope Baltimore wins that game because I'm less of a Cleveland fan. But that's going to be an interesting game.
One that really jumped out, there's a Christmas Day game. For the first time ever, we have a game on Christmas Day. It's at 4:30. It's Vikings at Saints.
Great game.
Why the NFL hasn't done this before? The biggest day on the NBA calendar is Christmas Day because they have 8 games and they got rid of the great candy cane font they used to have, that Saint Nick style, or whatever they want to call it. They got rid of that. I don't know why, but anyways, football is gonna. They should throw 3 games on. They need to make it the same as Thanksgiving, just bigger. Just steal the spotlight.
Why not? Why not?
They're doing that finally.
Especially this year. I love Thanksgiving football. And then, Christmas, you're looking at almost the same schedule a lot of families have, right? You're around. Everyone wants to have something on.
They don't care about their family time. They do it on freaking Thanksgiving.
No, that's what I'm saying is your family's all around. Put some football on TV.
Oh,
right?
okay. I thought you were saying they were respecting the families of the players.
No, I'm saying everyone's around anyways. For Thanksgiving, do the same thing for Christmas. Put football on TV.
Every day of the year. That's what I said.
Dude, let's play 365 days a year. I'm with you. Any other games pop out to you?
Not singular games. I just wrote Monday Night Football schedule stinks and Thursday Night Football is better.
Yeah.
Monday Night Football, they had
but Thursday Night
Bears.
Football sucks.
It does. You're right. It's worse quality football. It's always lower scoring. As far as entertainment value, it's the worst because they have no time to prepare. But the Thursday night matchups, I think, are better. Monday Night Football matchups, there's a couple that are good, but the Patriots are on there with Jarrett Stidham. The Bears are on there with who the frick knows?
It's either going to be Nick Foles or Mitch Trubisky.
That's what I'm saying. So you're telling me a quarter of the whole season on Monday night, which is the biggest one, I don't even want to watch, really? Like,
No, I agree. I agree.
Right to me.
They're probably
It's
trying
not,
to.
it is, oh, let me finish. It's not like the Patriots are playing like a good team. They're playing the
Right.
Jets. They're also playing the Bills, which will be okay. But they're playing the Jets, and who knows what New England is at the week
Right.
17
Now,
when they're playing the Bills.
It's got to be it's got to be an initiative to make Thursday more interesting. I mean, how much have they been in a battle of players hating Thursday night games, fans hating Thursday night games? You know what I mean? So they're trying to blow that up and obviously make it a better schedule.
I just off the cuff hypothesis why who wants Thursday night? What network is that?
But it's
NFL Network is Thursday night.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. Yeah. You're right. You're right. Well, cool. Well, I mean, no, I don't really have any other. I mean, there's a couple obviously big games. Well, it's a bunch of them, but going into it, I did write down Week 17 in the NFC West is Seahawks at Niners, and with the new playoff format, both those teams are poised to have another really good year. With the new playoff format, the number one seed means more than anything. So you're going to be looking at teams that aren't going to want to be, sitting their players because they want that number one seed because they get the bye. Number two doesn't get it anymore.
I like that.
So that I think that could be a really big game, Week 17.
I like that a lot. Yeah, I didn't even put that together, but they're totally trying to get rid of tanking. That's
100%.
That's a great thing to see. And it's also awesome. Like some teams going to like gun for it and end up two and be pissed.
Yeah.
Good. And you still got to play like a tough little squad.
Right.
Right. So do we want to go through the Bengals schedule?
Let's go into the
predictions.
Bengals. Yeah.
Just based off of – there's a lot of really interesting ones. I think the Bengals schedule is great. We have one of the easier schedules. Obviously, it's not like – when I complain about the Patriots have the hardest and the Ravens have the easiest, they do it by division. I just don't think it's quite as random how they did it. I do think they do throw in some of the non-conference games, but in general, the Bengals have one of the easier ones. Granted, it's the NFL, so it's never really easy.
But Vegas has them at 5.5 right now.
Yeah,
for wins. We'll go through it. So Week 1, Chargers come to town. Who knows if Herbert's going to be starting? Yeah, you think he's going to be starting? Tyrod Taylor.
Probably Tyrod.
Yeah,
which is such a easy way out for them.
It is.
Man, I really hope we can
smart,
win that one.
I think the Bengals win that game.
I worry because Burrow's not even in Cincinnati. He's living in his parents' basement right now. I understand you can communicate over Zoom like we are right now, but how much can he really absorb? When are they going to be running walkthroughs? I just think it's always a steep learning curve for a rookie quarterback.
It is.
It's especially steep when you can't meet with people in person and you can't throw the ball to somebody. You know what I mean? I think there might be a little bit slower momentum building with some of the rookies and other seasons that have gone by.
So do you have the Chargers winning that game?
That game, that's one of the hard ones for me. I had the Bengals winning.
Okay.
Let me answer the question. But it's coin flip. I mean,
that's tough.
The Chargers made the playoffs last year. The Bengals were the number 1 overall seed.
Chargers didn't make the playoffs last year.
Didn't they?
No, they're 6-10.
Oh, okay. Well, I must have looked at the wrong year when I was looking that up. But they made it in the past 2 years. So
they were a big disappointment last year. I mean, they were poised for a really big year.
They were positioned to get Herbert. You're right.
Yeah. So and then Bengals go at Browns, at Eagles. I think loss there.
I think I see them squeaking one. I mean, they're both on the road. I think they gave them a cupcake. I think they were nice out the gate. And then the Browns, I kind of see that as a coin flip too. I don't see us beating the Eagles. But
I agree that the Browns is a coin flip, but I think they're going to come out hot this year, and then I think they're going to really fizzle out.
Do you think anything – you think 1-3 – I think if you got 1-3 out of those first 3, you're probably doing all right.
Yeah, you win 1 out of those first 3. So we'd be 1-2 going in, and then the Jags come to town, and I think the Jags are going to be the worst team in football. I think that's a win.
You better beat the Jags.
Better win that game.
Gardner Minshew comes in just slinging ropes. That'd be
hey, man. Minshew mania. And then you go –
I hope it's not Cam Newton.
Yeah, hey, that's true. You're right about that. But, I mean, if you're 2-2 at that point in time, then you're going Then we're going back on the road for another little road trip. You got at Ravens, at Colts.
Ravens, we're not winning.
Nope.
Colts.
And I don't think it's being the Colts either. I think so.
Tough.
I would put coming out of week 6, 2-4 for the Bengals, coming home, Browns coming to town, and then you get the win against the Browns.
I think a lot of this, honestly, like we know the Bengals defense will be better. It's got to be better.
Yep. Offense line should be better.
That's what it's really, that's like the thing for me. If the offensive line can come together, I think a game like the Colts can be winnable.
Yep.
If we can't score, because they're going to score. If we can't score, that's a loss.
Right. So then, all right. So then the Browns come to town, and then Titans come to town.
So here's how I feel about the Browns. I think we can split with them.
Me too.
I think we split. We're not beating the Titans. I think if
I put a loss also.
Out of these first 8, I think if you can get 2, maybe 3 wins out of that, you're about where I expect.
I think the Bengals come out of that 3-5, and then they got to go to the Steelers, and they lose that game.
Steelers, and that's assuming Big Ben's healthy. Like, who knows?
I think the Steelers are going to be good.
An injury yet, but
I know, but I think they're going to be pretty good this year.
I think it helps us that I do too. I think it helps us we play them in the latter half.
It does.
And we're not coming right out the gate with those guys.
And we go there first, so later on in the year they come to Cincy, which I think is nice. Right. I think that's nice. Yeah, and then you go to the Redskins. I think that's a win. I don't think they're going to be very good.
So there's some interesting storylines, like the Justin Herbert if he plays. Obviously, the Tua Tagovailoa, just for the sake that they were compared against each other a lot for the draft process. But the Redskins have Dwayne Haskins, and Dwayne Haskins beat out Joe. I think that's going to be just as big as the other storylines in like QB comparison. Like Dwayne took his job, Joe left. They're going to be going through all the history books for that one. I think Bengals win, but that's going to be one of the most exciting games. It's also great because Burrow knows Chase Young. There's going to be so many of those high school or not those high school.
That's true.
Things. And same with Sam Hubbard on the Bengals going after Dwayne Haskins.
That's true. But remember, with Rivera in town, he did bring Kyle Allen in. So you don't know that Haskins will be the starter at that point in time.
It's true. I think maybe when I'm looking at it, I'm just like hopeful.
Yeah. I hope Haskins is. I hope he's a starter at that time. And I hope Chase Young has an awesome year because I love watching him play. As much as I'm not a big Ohio State guy, I know you're a huge Ohio State guy.
Yeah.
But I love watching Chase Young play.
I mean, let's be honest. There's like a 20% chance Fitzmagic signs and for some reason it's leaving. You know what I mean? Like
why not, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
It's the Redskins. So.
Yep. And then Giants come to town. I think the Giants, unfortunately, take the Bengals in this game.
I hope not. I'm going to pick the Bengals on that. I don't love Daniel Jones. I don't know. They don't scare me at all. The Giants are pretty down. We're at home. By that point, you're not a rookie anymore. You're kind of you're in the latter half of the season. It's almost December. I'm going to take the Bengals on that.
Okay. All right.
I'll take the Bengals against the Dolphins down in Miami on December 6th as well.
Definitely take the Bengals on that game also because here's the thing. We don't know if Tua's even going to be playing at all this year. It could still be Fitzmagic down there starting. Yeah. Right? So, and they did get better in the draft, but, I mean, they had how many picks they had? They had 3 in the first round. None of them, aside from Tua, were like, whoa, like that's a game-breaking pick, in the first. So, we'll see. And then we got Cowboys coming to town, Steelers coming to town. So, 2 classic teams coming to town, Cowboys and Steelers. I mean, for me, that's a loss.
I have them losing out from that point. They have their season win total for me. I don't see them beating the Cowboys. No chance. They're at home against the Steelers. You better hope someone's hurt because if everyone's healthy, they're probably going to beat you. Texans in Houston. Texans are going to be loaded.
Guess what? No, I don't think the Texans won't be loaded. I think the Bengals go down there and squeak out a win late in the season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's and then wishful thinking there.
And then they lose the Ravens. They end up 6-10.
I don't know. I think I realize they don't have the same receiver core, but I think there's enough meat on the bone. And I like Deshaun Watson.
I love Deshaun Watson.
This is his team. There's no more chatter about anything else.
Yeah.
I think he goes out there and makes plays. But, hey, if they can pull off an upset in Houston, great. I love it.
Be awesome, right? There's always those
my
weird
freaking savings on it. Yeah.
There's always those weird games, right?
Yeah.
Whoever squeaks out a win. And so, but I think it'll be a fun season. I think it'll be better than people think, but I'm still not giving them much more than 6 wins next year.
I'm 6-10 also.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at it. So one of the Browns games, I have the Jags, I have the Redskins, I have the Giants and Dolphins.
Yeah.
Outside of those, like, I hope.
Tough.
I really hope.
Really hope.
New quarterbacks never even met a lot of his teammates, and hit the ground running to more than 6 wins.
It's a good point.
We'll see.
It's a good point. All right, so what
prediction for? Sorry, you have more?
Oh no, I was going to say. All right, so let's move into the AFC North. What are the other 3? So we've got Bengals at 6-10, both of us. Let's go bottom up. I have Browns 7-9, Steelers 9-7, Ravens 12-4.
The Browns 5-11. I think it's going to be a mess, just like it was last year. I don't care who your coach is. A lot of the same issues are going to be there. I think Baker Mayfield is going to struggle. It's going to get there's going to be arguments. I think Odell Beckham Jr. He's going to be traded. He's going to be talking to the media, saying things about the coach. He's going to call Baker. Like, there's so many things that can go wrong with that team. I don't like Baker, so screw him. 5-11 for them. I have the Bengals 6-10. I have the Steelers making the wild card. I have them 9-7.
Same.
I have the Ravens as one of the top teams in the AFC at 13-3.
Okay. Yeah. So I had them at 12-4. But I could definitely see 13-3. I could see 14-2 again, just like last year, right? But I put them at 12-4. So I have Ravens and Steelers making the playoffs out of the AFC North. Where do you want to go next?
I have that as well. Well, why don't you say what seed? So you have the Ravens as what seed in the playoffs?
Well, I'm going to have them as the 2, but we haven't gotten to the 1 yet. So,
all right.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, fair. Let's do so we did the North. Let's do the South.
Yeah, so South, go ahead. Why don't you start this time?
I'm from the bottom up. I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. As of right now, I put them at 1-15. I think that's
1-15.
Respect. That's the I think that's your number 1 overall pick team next year to win the Trevor Lawrence Derby, which is a whole nother thing. Like, the thought of them having a talent like Trevor Lawrence would be so exciting.
Yeah, it would be.
I know the NFL would love that because, like, they're always sending the Jaguars to London. Like, they're trying to promote them. They'd run with that, having a quarterback. Neither here nor there. The Colts, I have Phillip coming in, getting them to 8-8. Even 500 for the Colts. I think they have more talent. The defense has improved. 8-8. The Texans, I have at 10-6, and I have the Titans at 10-6 as well.
So interesting there. We definitely have some difference in opinions on the AFC South, except for the Jags. I think they're the bottom of the league. I have 3-13 for the Jags. I have Titans.
You have 2 more wins than me. That's
2 more. I have Titans regressing and going 7-9. Yeah, I just they could come out and go 12-4. I don't know. They had an unbelievable run at the end of last year. I don't think the Tannehill signing, as much as I am a fan of him, but to make him that high of a paid quarterback, I don't necessarily know if he's a franchise quarterback, right? But he was a great filler last year and ended up obviously having a good year. Then I have Texans 8-8 because I don't think they're going to be as good as people think, and I have Colts winning the division.
Wow.
At 9-7.
Wow. And it's muddled. So to be fair, we have different order, but I have 10 wins, 8 wins. You have what? 9-8-8?
9-8-7-3.
9-8-7. Okay. So neither one of us thinks there's like a team in this division that's like the class of the AFC.
No, the South. The South's been like that forever.
You do. Here's the thing. I believe I'm such a huge Vrabel fan. He had them in the championship game.
Yeah. And, I mean, look, they beat the Patriots and the Ravens.
And I think there's something to be said. Like, when you take a team that, they squeaked in and then they started believing, I think that kind of momentum is powerful. I have them as my eventual 3 seed.
Steve, the reason why the reason why I put him there is, as much as I love Derrick Henry, and I really, really do, as like recently, some running backs will have a really, really great year. DeMarco Murray, right, had an amazing year, and then he goes to where was he after Dallas? He went. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that doesn't matter. And so, and then nothing. You never hear of him. Running games nowadays with a quarterback that doesn't put up crazy numbers. I mean, I think Tannehill might have been under 100 yards like all through the playoffs last year. Don't win a lot of games anymore in the NFL, except when they first start to do it, and then it fizzles out. Other teams can start to play around it. If you're very one-dimensional around Derrick Henry, as
You there, Jeff?
great as he is, I think they're – yeah, sorry.
Okay,
Lost you for a second. You there?
Technical difficulty. We're back.
A little technical difficulty. But
you're back, Jeff.
but yeah, you heard my piece on the Titans, though.
Yeah. One thing I didn't agree with, you said you never hear about DeMarco Murray anymore. He's your running back coach at University of Oklahoma right now.
Well, that's pretty cool. Hey, good for him.
Yeah, I just learned that the Buckeyes were recruiting some running back, and they said Coach DeMarco Murray in like the article, and I looked it up. I'm like, holy crap, good for him. I think
that's awesome.
Oklahoma running back coach. Like, that's a great one.
That is a great one. That'll be interesting. The South will be real interesting. How about let's start with the East. You want to start with the East?
Let's do the East.
So going from bottom up, I have the Dolphins at 6-10.
Keep going.
Jets at 7-9.
Okay.
Pats at 9-7. Bills 10-6.
Okay, pretty similar. Same order, different records. I had the Dolphins at 3-13.
Okay.
I think there's so many things that can go wrong. I like to, but is he even going to play? What's going to be going on? Who knows? I don't think that.
I have them at 6-10 with that uncertainty. Not even necessarily no. I still think they got better. And towards the end of the last year,
they lost Laramie Tunsil. Like their line got worse.
Laramie's been in Houston though.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. We'll see. You have 3. I have 6, or vice versa. I have 3. You have 6.
Switch it
on that one.
What about Jets, Patriots, Bills?
Jets I have at 6-10.
Okay.
I don't think they're very good. The Bills I have at 9-7. I think it's going to be tougher than people think. The division's playing a tough schedule.
Yeah.
Now, there's no more this like, oh, it's the Bills. Like, people know they're legit, and they're going to prepare for you like you're legit.
Yep.
I have the Pats at 9-7. Like, a lot of the talking heads, like Cowherd, like we always share his stuff. They're picking them not to make the playoffs. I just think it's just stupid to write off Bill Belichick. Like, how many times have people done that? And you just look at his track record. Even we didn't have Tom, he wins. I don't know who Jarrett Stidham is, but apparently Bill Belichick thinks he's good enough.
Hey man, he played big time college
football.
Hey, look, he played at Auburn. He won some really big games. I think he beat Georgia, beat Alabama. I mean, he's played against, obviously, NFL guys. I think they're going to be, like we talked about earlier, I think they're going to be better people think. So, yeah.
All right,
moving to the West.
AFC West.
West. Go ahead. You start first here.
I'll start off. I have the Chargers coming in at 4-12.
Okay.
I think they got worse by getting rid of Rivers, not better. I have the Raiders coming in at a clean 8-8.
Okay.
I have the Broncos at a clean 8-8. And then at the top of the division, I have the class of the AFC, number 1 seed, the Chiefs, at 14-2.
Okay, so actually pretty similar here, except in the middle. Chargers, I think, bring up the rear, but I think they go 5-11.
Okay.
So still getting worse than they were last year. Yeah. And then I actually had Broncos 9-7, Raiders 9-7, but the Raiders skipping them and taking it and actually making the wild card. And then Chiefs, I had same as you, 14-2.
Yeah, I like that. So we did rank these, right? We did them.
Yep.
Hey, here's your 1 seed, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 seeds now in the in the playoff format. Don't forget that at home.
Right.
So you want me to start, or you want to start off with your AFC playoff predictions here?
I can go ahead. I mean, if you want me to, I'll run through the wild card, then we'll take them to you.
Give me your 2 versus 7.
So my 2 versus 7 is Raiders at Ravens.
Raiders at Ravens. And who do you have coming out on that?
Ravens coming out of it.
So I had Ravens Colts. I had the Ravens coming out.
Okay, there you go. What about the second one? What about the 6 versus 3?
For the 3 versus 6, and let me give you my 1 through 7 just so we're clear on who I have. So number 1, Chiefs, 2 Ravens, 3 Titans, 4 Bills, 5 Texans, 6 Steelers, 7 Colts.
Okay.
For 3 versus 6, I have the Titans versus the Steelers, and I have the Titans beating the Steelers to advance.
So interesting. I have Steelers 6 playing the Bills 3 and Steelers beating the Bills.
Ooh, okay, so you're high on the Steelers this year.
For some reason, I'm obviously not a Steelers fan. It's just I know Big Ben's going to come back, and who knows if it's going to be, obviously the old Big Ben, but I think this is going to be his last season most likely. He's going to want to go out with a bang. They have a great offensive line. Their defense has gotten a lot better. TJ Watt, Mika Fitzpatrick back there, and their running backs are pretty good. So, we'll see.
The biggest problem I had with I think I agree with all your points. The biggest problem with that is they were playing the Titans, and I'm real high on the Titans. Or else,
yeah,
I probably had them advancing over some of the other teams you said, like the Bills. I probably have them advancing.
Yeah,
I have the Bills as my 4, playing the 5 seed Texans. I have the Texans taking them out. I know that you're not going to agree with that one.
Well, I don't even have the Texans in the playoffs. So I had 5 Patriots playing 4 Colts, but 4 Colts beating the Patriots.
Beating the Pats. Okay.
Yep. And that's where the Patriots run ends.
I haven't seen the Colts over the Patriots in a while.
Exactly.
Probably, I don't know, 10, 12 years, 15 years.
I think Rivers finally gets a little bit of shot, a little bit of window here. They got better. They got a lot better, I would say, and he gets a little bit of shot in the playoffs. I don't think it goes far, which we'll get into right here, but I think he does get that big one.
Can you imagine if Philip Rivers beat Bill Belichick in the playoffs?
It'd be awesome.
First time for everything, right?
Yep. So,
okay,
so I assume obviously we both have the Chiefs. They have the bye.
Yeah. So I have so for the 1 versus lowest, which in this case the 5, I have the Chiefs over the Texans.
Okay, I have Chiefs over the Steelers, 6 seed.
Okay, and then on the other side, I have Ravens versus Titans, and I have the Ravens coming out.
So it looks like our AFC Championship game is going to be the same. I have Ravens playing 4 Colts, Ravens coming out, which leads for the Chiefs versus Ravens at Chiefs for the AFC Championship.
And who do you have winning?
I have Chiefs winning.
I have the Chiefs winning too.
Yeah, I think they got better.
They've got everything.
Yeah, they have everything. They got better. I love, like we talked about when we talked about the draft, the 32nd pick, Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick, I thought was awesome. I think he's going to be like a Brian Westbrook guy, just back with Andy Reid, and their offense is just ridiculous. Patrick Mahomes is absurd. I think Patrick Mahomes ends up winning the MVP this year, and we'll go into it next week. But it's going to be hard for me to find an NFC team that I think is going to beat the Chiefs, and I think we might see another repeat.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be that fantasy guy that someone gets him in the 5th round, and he turns out to be like your 3rd overall back.
Exactly.
He's – oh, man. Like, there aren't many better fits than that.
And Sammy Watkins is coming back. I mean, he signed that 1 more year deal. So, I mean, dude, they're loaded. They're loaded.
Yeah, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I just picked him for the Super Bowl, so I better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, cool, man. So that wraps up the AFC playoff picture. It'll be interesting to see the NFC. I think the NFC is a little bit more interesting also.
I think it is too. Yeah, but some of the power shifted. Obviously, whenever you have Brady and Gronk switch from one to the other, like it's gonna shake stuff up.
Well, that whole division.
We'll talk. Let's save NFC for Monday.
We'll save it.
We'll go on for another half hour at that alone, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, all right, man. Let's wrap it up. I think that was a good recap there. So just to recap it, AFC playoff picture: 7 seed Ravens, 6 seed Steelers, 5 seed Patriots, 4 seed Colts, Bills 3, Ravens 2, Chiefs 1. Ravens and Chiefs playing AFC Championship game. Chiefs win and going to the Super Bowl for me.
Good stuff. For myself, 7 seed Colts, 6 seed Steelers, 5 seed Texans, 4 Bills, 3 Titans, 2 Ravens, 1 Chiefs, and same as you, Jeff, I have the Chiefs over the Ravens in the AFC Championship game.
Awesome, man.
Well, it's another episode of the Jungle Podcast. Find us online. We put all our, usually we'll put our lists up or whatever the heck we're doing that week. It could be a draft or whatever it might be on Twitter, at the Real Jungle or at the Jungle Pod. Can't even think of our freaking tags anymore. Go ahead and vote. Let us know what you think. And I guess Monday, we'll cover the NFC. We'll cover some UFC. And anything else you want to add, Jeff?
No, man, we'll do that. Go through news and notes, and we got some kudos coming on Monday, so it's gonna be a good time.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Good deal. We'll have a
All right,
good
buddy.
weekend, man. Talk to you
Yeah,
Monday.
you too. See ya.
Yeah.